I'll rewind it from the beginning. I'm gonna let a lot of it play, uh, and stop it where I see fit, because I do want to make this a shortened stream. So let's go through some of this.
Agenda or theory or vision to the extent that there is a sort of cohesive principle that would bind it together.
Well, John F. Kennedy said we must end war or war will end us. I look at war and peace much the same way I look at sickness and health. Sickness is the absence of health. Health isn't the absence of sickness. And war is the absence of peace. Peace is not the absence of war. So I think we need to wage peace as seriously as we wage war. And as I was mentioning before, there are specific factors involved in waging peace. There are specific things that you can do to increase the incidence of peace. Right now, we have an $858 billion military budget. We have a $60 billion State Department budget, and we have something like $1.9 billion that we give to the USAID. Now, of those three, the USAID arguably does more to create peace in the world because it actually addresses the needs of people. So I would want a foreign policy, first of all, where diplomacy, State Department efforts of diplomacy take far more primacy. They have been sort of cast to the side of the room. It's the opposite of what used to be true. It used to be true that the State Department was at the table and the military guys were sitting in the back of the room. Today, the military people are at the table and the State Department. It used to be that if you were having a foreign policy discussion and somebody said, "Oh, we can't do that, that we couldn't get that past state," that would be taken very seriously. Today, it's like a joke. People would roll their eyes. Ooh, state's not going to like it.
Mm.
So we have to go in and clean all that up. Now, having said that, I look at the US military like I look at a surgeon. If you have to have surgery, you better believe you want to have the best surgeon. But you're also, any reasonable person would seek to avoid surgery if at all possible. So we have a history of imperialistic misadventures in this country. We know the criminality of the Iraq War, the thousands of people, possibly millions of people, if you count people elsewhere, who have died from Vietnam to Iraq, and certainly the last 20 years or so in Afghanistan. Um, I think America has a lot to atone for. Um, our imperialism, quite simply. I think that there's
See, so I let it play as much as I can, and I try to play some game in my phone to distract myself from interrupting, but now I have to interrupt because this is the lane, which I, oh, you know what? I better turn my sound off. Okay. This is the lane that I call the cosplaying left lane, where you do all the same radical or left critiques. That's to gain the ear of a non-establishment person. Um, but then you go ahead and execute a reformist plan, the same plan that is ran every 4 years to capture non-establishment people. So, and that's what she's doing. So let me rewind it back maybe 45 seconds here. Uh, so we can hear the last part, the second half of this answer here that I want to discuss here. So let's play it.
discussion, and somebody said, "Oh, we can't do that, that we couldn't get that past state," that would be taken very seriously. Today, it's like a joke. People would roll their eyes. Ooh, state's not going to like it.
Mm.
So we have to go in and clean all that up. Now, having said that, I look at the US military like I look at a surgeon. If you have to have surgery, you better believe you want to have the best surgeon. But you're also, any reasonable person would seek to avoid surgery if at all possible.
Boy, is this a terrible response right here. Boy, is this terrible. Said if you're gonna need surgery, if you're gonna need war, that's the analogy. The surgery part, so she's nicing up war, right? So if you're gonna need a surgery, you want the best surgeon. If you're gonna need a surgery, you want the imperialist uh, military industrial complex. Yet she does this.
Possible. So we have a history of imperialistic misadventures in this country.
Imperialistic misadventures, like Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Right? That's all we've had. Imperialist misadventures. The same misadventures with that great surgeon, remember? So, using your analogy, are these misadventures, when we're using your analogies, are these botched surgeries? So we've had a few botched surgeries. We've had a few botched surgeries, but you're saying the surgeon isn't the problem. Gotcha.
We know the criminality of the Iraq War, the thousands of people, possibly millions of people.
So the criminality of the Iraq War. So the surgeon is also doing crime on the side. During the surgery, he closed a couple of yayo deals, you know what I'm saying? Like, and we're keeping the surgeon. This is your analogy. This is your analogy.
People, if you count people elsewhere who have died from Vietnam to Iraq, and certainly the last 20 years.
So, from our botched surgeries, people have died. You see how you can't walk? You see how ridiculous it is to think you can walk this line? She's only anti-war in abstract. She's not anti-war when it's real. And a lot of the NATO left are that, and we're seeing that with this Ukraine war. They're only anti-war in theory, when pontificating, when discussing. They're not anti-war in application. So let's listen.
Years or so in Afghanistan. I think America has a lot to atone for. Our imperialism, quite simply. I think that there's
this is what the pseudo left does. Their critique of war is always of past wars. After everybody has said that was a bad decision, basically. Their critiques of the military industrial complex always fall short of the current wars or future wars, as you can see in the Ukraine conflict. So let's continue.
We are needing to turn a corner. And I think there are some people within the defense establishment, or at least the foreign policy establishment, who are trying to do that. Undeniably, however, there is in this town what's called the blob, the defense establishment, which exerts tremendous, tremendous power. Even though the neoconservative views, the Iraq War, et cetera, have been proven to have been utter failures and utter wrongs, that power is still exerted, and they'd have a problem when it comes to me.
But those same people made the right decision with Ukraine. That you see how ridiculous that sounds? Those same people that she's describing that did the Afghanistan, the Iraq, all of that, those are the same people, the military industrial complex weapon manufacturers, that are saying Ukraine is a just war, a just proxy war in the funding. We must maintain our military supremacy, because after the proletariat do take over, all of international capitalism will come for us. We are going to want to keep 10 to 12 carrier strike groups, the army, warships. I guess, but thank you for the super chat. I forgot to do this. Oh, I did do that one earlier. Sound like not going to defund the military? Oh, absolutely not. She's not going to defund any military whatsoever. Absolutely not.